What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in today. We're doing something a little bit different. We're going to be sitting down, having a chat, doing some stories and some talks and some laughs. We're going to sit down here with my buddy Max. Max, what's up, man? How's it going?
Doing well, doing well. Thanks for having me.
Let the people know, what do you do for a living?
I am a tattoo artist.
Oh, okay. And then how long have you been tattooing for?
It's been about 10 years now.
Nice, man. And you've
years.
been working out of what shop?
Blackbird Electric Tattoo.
Nice. The whole time?
The whole time.
Nice,
Started
dude.
here. Carrie taught me.
Nice.
I was her apprentice and just stayed the whole time. Yeah.
Nice. Well, that's what we do. Thank you for doing this and being the first inaugural guest on our We Don't Know What We're Going to Call It podcast. So I thought it would be funny quickly to just maybe like talk about the first time we met. Was in 2010 at the tattoo convention here in Calgary was the first time we met. And my buddy Dan Smith was up from the States tattooing at the convention, wanted me to work. And so while we were here, he knew Carrie Arthurs, obviously. So we came by Blackbird to hang out, and that was kind of the first time our paths had crossed.
I remember that.
Do you remember?
I think so. It was when I was getting my back done.
Yeah, when Chad was here, he was doing your back. Is that done?
No, I dropped the ball on that. It's my fault.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I just haven't been proactive with it.
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah. Your butt cheeks out, laying on the table, getting your back tattooed, and that was quite the intro. But we got a chance to actually hang out quite a bit that weekend, actually, and we went for some sushi together and had some meals together.
Yeah.
And it was good. It was awesome. And from that point on, we've stayed friends and been buds the whole time. You've tattooed me 4 times. I think you're like the second most person to tattoo me.
That's awesome. I'm honored.
Yeah, no, hey man, you're awesome. Let's get to the more important part, man, about kind of like your life story, because I know every time I talk to you, man, you blow me away with just these stories of like your life, and I feel like it's almost like you've had 47 extra lives in your life.
It's like that George Costanza thing. If you put my life into one day, it looks decent. If you put it all into one day, it's
that's
nice,
fair. That's fair.
It's impressive.
Where does it start out? So where were you born? Let's start off there, at the very beginning.
Sure. I was born in the Soviet Union. Specifically, the country is Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan, Baku. It's part of like the Caucasus Mountains, the 3 countries, which is Armenia, Georgia, and Azerbaijan.
Crazy, man.
So it used to be part of Persia back in the day.
It's kind of been a lot of different things in that area. We, on a previous podcast, my geography is terrible, but I kind of know of what you're talking about.
It's cool. I love geography.
When were you born there?
1988. Okay. Yeah, born in 1988, Azerbaijan. Right during and Azerbaijan and Armenia are at war. They always had like bad relations, but Azerbaijan had a big Armenian community.
Okay.
And my mom's background is Armenian, so when I was born, the civil war broke out, like genocide, ethnic cleansing in Azerbaijan. Okay. And it was funny because my dad's family member was a doctor and like delivered me, and I was born right during like the civil war, and she told my mom like he's gonna be an extremist, like he's gonna have like extreme, like personality, because he was born during the war. Right. So
yeah, I guess that's kind of an old school thought, is that kind of your surroundings of when you're being born have a lot to shape you as a person, right? So
I mean, like it's just like superstitions in those countries, like they have some wild stuff, because my brother is super mellow. But
so the civil war was between like Azerbaijan and
Armenian citizens of Azerbaijan who lived there forever. It was very like multicultural. There was like all kinds, like Christians, Muslims, Jews, Armenians, all of them. But they've had like problems with land disputes for a while. And then like the civil war broke out. People like militias, like Azeri militias, were going door to door and just like killing citizens, like just murdering them, killing them. And that's like something that I can't even fathom because of my privileged life that I've had a chance to lead here, luckily. But like I've never had, I can imagine, but I can't really imagine, so. But I mean, like it's obviously not like against anyone in Canada's fault that they're born in such a great situation.
It's I think a lot of people don't think about. They think about the struggles of other people, but really to put your feet, yourself in their shoes, so to speak. Like, it's tough, and I can't imagine. I can't imagine bringing a baby into that, dude.
Dude, like, because my dad worked overseas all the time. He was a geologist. It was just my mom and my brother and I were 11 months apart, so we were like.
So she had 2 young kids,
toddlers.
So what did she do? What did she do for work? Was your dad working and then sending money back?
Yeah,
to sell?
yeah. My dad was working like in Vietnam. He was a geologist, and my mom, I think, like now she's an esthetician, but I don't think she was doing that then. I think she was just a stay-at-home mom.
But trying to take care of the kids, obviously, right?
And like,
so was that the setup between your parents for a long time? Was that he was off working, making money, and then kind of sending it home to you and your mom and your brother?
Yeah. I mean, like the whole family dynamic in Azerbaijan and the Soviet Union is like, you live with your parents, right? Like the son, whatever. When you get married, the wife moves in with you, and now your parents live with you. So it's like your house, they live with you. And that's the way it was. Like my mom moved in, and it was like the whole family.
You're like,
lived.
we're getting rid of the couch, we're taking this down, we're going to paint these pictures. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, it's crazy because like it was like rugs on the wall, right? Like that kind of style, and like communal bathrooms. Like you had to leave, like it was like a little apartment complexes and there's a communal bathroom. Like it wasn't like, it was like
crazy.
Not like poverty, but it wasn't. It was a Soviet Union, right? So it was like anything Americanized wasn't allowed. Like you weren't, like my parents didn't have Beatles record and like stories.
No
of,
TV.
No TV.
Do you
like,
have a record player playing or anything?
No,
Music?
like they had that, but like it's just you couldn't have like anything American, you know? Yeah.
Was that like a family thing, or like
no,
they
Soviet
did
Union.
Soviet Union?
Yeah.
Oh, right, because of the Cold War.
Yeah.
Right.
Because like
had to take myself there
totally.
for a second. Yeah.
Because like
Rocky had just come out.
Yeah.
And like
the justice system was like if you stole a loaf of bread.
Man, I think it's still kind of like that over there in some parts.
Like if you stole, like my mom told me, like if you stole a loaf of bread, you went to jail for a couple of years. But there was a neighbor who had like American currency that he was selling to people, like investment stuff, and he disappeared. Like the KGB, FSU, like you could have, like you could steal, that's a jail sentence, but like foreign currency, like American currency, that was a death sentence. Like you disappeared. That's crazy. But yeah.
That's crazy. So how long did you grow up there in that environment? Like how long?
I was 2 years old. Like I 2-3 years old when it like blew up, and my dad actually went to the police headquarters because like people were dying, like neighbors, like militias. Like there was a story where my mom was like home alone. She was like hanging the laundry, and like the Azeri neighbor was like, he knew that my mom was Armenian. He's like, hey, like that Armenian guy down the street, we cooked him up in a barbecue. And what they did was they like tore him to pieces, threw in a dumpster, and like lit it on fire.
Oh my God, dude, that's insane.
Yeah. So my dad went to the cops, and he was like, hey man,
this guy
like
killed somebody and gloated about it.
Yeah, he was just like, shit's popping off. Like, what are you guys gonna do? Like there's like ethnic cleansing. Like, what's the plan? And the police chief looked at my dad and was like, look at my belt. I don't even have my weapon. Like, they took my weapon from me. He's like, I can't even protect you if I wanted to. And he was like, you guys are also, like, you guys are Jewish. He's
so
like,
it's kind of lawless in a way.
Yeah. And this was the collapse of the Soviet Union. So before that, people weren't allowed to leave the Soviet Union. Like, you could go to the republics in Russia, like Soviet Union, but you couldn't leave the country. Like, you couldn't say, I'm going to the States or whatever. And when the Soviet Union collapsed, there was like 1 million Jewish Russians who the government, the Israeli government was like, hey, just let them out. They don't want to live there. You've treated them as second-class citizens. Like, so the government was like, sure, if they want to leave, they can leave. And the cop to my dad was like, you guys are Jewish. Like, why are you here? He was like, you don't want to leave? Give me your passport. Because they wrote everyone's nationality was on documents. That's the fucked up thing. They would check your papers. And yeah, he told my dad, like, if you don't want it, give it to me. I'll leave. Like, he wasn't even a Jew. He was like a Muslim guy. And he was like, if you don't want it, I'll get the fuck out of here. So Israel was
your dad
the only,
like, yo, we gotta make a call here?
He always wanted to go to the States first because he was like a businessman. He was like a oil
so that's
guy.
That's where all the business is.
He put his visa to the States, to all these countries, but Israel was the first country to take us in. So yeah. So we.
So that's where you went.
Yeah.
So how long now are you in Israel? Now are you with your mom and your dad?
My mom
in
and my
Israel?
dad, and then the whole family was going to follow us, but my dad's dad, my grandpa, got cancer. So during the war, they were like, and my aunt was in school, so they were like, she's gonna finish her university. My grandpa, like, it spread fast. He died. They buried him, and then we already moved because there was like, it was too dangerous for us. So we already moved, and then when my aunt finished, like the whole family met us there, and they're all still in Israel. Yeah. Yeah, they're all there.
And then, so what was your time in Israel like? Was that like, must have been quite a difference in comparison to growing up in Azerbaijan, I would assume?
Yeah. Maybe
a little bit more calm. And plus, not only that, you're surrounded by your own people.
Totally.
And this is kind of like the first time probably in your life that you've been in a country with the maybe in neighborhoods with the majority of your people. I don't know. I know there's other religions that are in Israel as well. So, but yeah, that must have been quite a change for you.
Yeah, it was great. Like I loved it. I moved there when I was like a toddler. Right. So like I spoke Russian, but then Hebrew became my first language. Right. And but the crazy part was we moved in '91. So we went from the Civil War, and then when we moved to Israel, that was during the first Gulf War when Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, which was America's biggest ally, one of them. So he was like, if you do that, we're going to like go in and fuck you up. And then Saddam Hussein was like, well, if you do that, I'm going to bomb your closest ally, which was Israel. So we got bombed like when we moved there. Yeah. So when we first moved there from the Soviet Union,
safe, and then you're like, we're not safe.
Yeah. So we were in bomb
How long was that insurrection for that he had on Israel? I don't remember.
I don't know how long it was, to be honest. Like I was pretty young, but I do know that.
Dude, I remember because I'm older. I'm 42. Yeah. So when I was growing up, dude, I remember the Gulf War vividly.
Oh yeah.
Because it's kind of the first time in my life that there was like a real I don't know. They were worried. They didn't know what it was going to be. It could have been like.
Well, they're not even like chemical weapons.
We're hearing all these horror stories about Saddam Hussein, and like I don't know what to believe in that he has weapons of mass destruction, and we don't know if he does.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And like the horror stories of him killing people, even people around him.
Yeah. Well, not many
that were like in his posse. Totally. And I can't imagine what he would do to other people. So, but I remember seeing like the bullets flying in the sky with the night vision on the CNN.
Those are the ones that were going over.
Dude, that was crazy. I remember watching that shit. I can't imagine being there, man.
It was
that's
wild.
Crazy.
Like, I mean, the sad thing is that not many people know about it, but like, he gassed like the Kurdish citizens of Iraq, like children, like total war crimes
like
in his
Nazi
own country.
Styles?
Yeah, no, like sarin gas, like bombs, like chemical bomb gas.
So where they would just disperse and sort of. Okay, I got you. Yeah. That's terrible, bro. Like,
it was wild.
Chemical warfare is like.
Yeah. It's insane. But
I remember them saying that, but I never knew. I remember he was accused of chemical warfare, but you never heard kind of like overhear what instance it was, and like that's crazy.
Well, it was against his own citizens. I mean, they were ethnic minorities like Kurds, but it was against his own citizens. So people like it's
genocide.
100%. Yeah. But the funny thing about that whole situation, because it was all these Russian citizens that moved, that there's stories you would get fitted for a gas mask, and then they would put the straws through the gas mask, so they would be like drinking vodka while getting bombed because
priorities,
because that's just the Russian mentality. Like it could be like it could always be worse, but you're with your family, and if you're there, like you might as well get get bombed.
What do you have to lose, man?
Yeah, it was wild.
That's crazy. So your dad's Russian?
Soviet Union. Soviet Jew.
So I remember in my lifetime, it went from USSR, Soviet Union, CIS, CI. It was like the Commonwealth of Independent.
Oh yeah.
It was for a millisecond.
In the Olympics, it was like
because
the
they didn't know.
Republics, they didn't know what to do with it. Yeah,
they didn't know, and then it went into Russia.
And then Russia, yeah.
So now it's just Russia.
Yeah.
Why
all those little countries got their own independence, like Uzbekistan.
So as the countries drop off and leave, it changes name. Is that kind of how it goes?
No. Because it was essentially just Russia was always Russia, and then all the little countries around it. So like in Central Asia, like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, they were all independent at the time, but they were part of Russia. And then on the Eastern European side, it was like Moldova, Estonia, Latvia, and all those countries.
Dude, I just read now like Putin's lining up all his troops right now in Ukraine. Yeah. And I remember they were like, "Yo, what are you doing?" Like the UN was like, "Bro, you can't do that." And he was like, "Military."
I can do whatever the fuck I want.
He was like, "Military exercises."
Yeah. Like, who's gonna stop him?
He was like, "What are you gonna do?"
Yeah. No one like. He did that in Georgia and Crimea and all that places.
I know, sketchy, man. Sketchy that you could be the president of a country like that with no checks, nobody being like, no one's holding your feet to the fire, no accountability.
Yeah.
You can just be the president for as long as you really want to be the president.
Totally.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
That's really crazy, dude.
Yeah. Well, there was that Russian meme where it was like, you can't change your nationality, you can't change your blood, and you can't change the president of Russia. Those things are forever.
Seems like it, man. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So going back to Israel then, now, so are you going to school there? Do you end up going to school there? So you're elementary and that starts like at a young age or whatever. And,
like
and so when do you start making the transition now to come to Canada?
Yeah. So we moved there. It's pretty tough at first, right? Because it's like a completely different environment, and there was.
Are you staying with family, or are you guys just kind of making your own?
Yeah, we were like different neighborhoods. Like the neighborhoods where I grew up was actually it's by like the alphabet. So we were in neighborhood B, and my cousins were in neighborhood A. Okay. So we were like close,
really close,
very close. Yeah, like all the family. It was tough at first, but then like new immigrants, you get better jobs, you get better, like everything like started to get better. But like it's the Middle East, and there was, you know, suicide bombings, all these terrorist attacks. Shit was always popping off. But so it was getting better. My mom didn't want to leave. My mom always wanted to stay, but my dad was like, Israel's the only country in the Middle East with no oil, and he's a geologist. So he's like, what the fuck am I doing here?
The worst spot, dude. Yeah, for sure.
It was very hard for him because when we first moved there was no work. He was like trying to sell fruits at the market, and then he was a security guard at the mall. He had like a master's degree in the Soviet Union.
Dude, that's so rough,
to like, what are you gonna do?
And for an ego, and you're also a father. You want to be supplying
2 kids.
Taking care of your family, you know, and you went to school for all that time. You know you're worth more than what the job you're doing is. I can't believe. So was he really the motivator to try and like get out? And
he always wanted
something?
to move. Yeah, for him, he was always like wanted to go like North America. Texas was like a big one.
Oil,
Texas. But my mom wanted to stay, and things were going like good. So my dad was like, "We'll apply at a couple places, but we'll keep it like we'll just stay and see how things work out." And then in '96, the Oslo Peace Accords, I don't know if you follow that, but the then Prime Minister, Yitzhak Rabin, was going to make peace with the Palestinians, or vice versa. They were going to make peace with us. I mean, we can get into the politics of it, but things were going like steady.
Peace talks, right? Yeah, okay.
Like, it's the closest it's got to peace talks. Right. Things were kind of going steady. Like, there was a waves of suicide bombings, and they kind of calmed down because things were going a certain way. Right. And I remember this, he got assassinated by like a right-wing extremist on the Israeli side. He got assassinated. So the peace plans went to shit. Everything disappeared, and like all these intifada, like suicide bombings, all these terrorist attacks.
I remember all the market bombings and killings.
Like 60 people a day on buses getting blown up.
And it's
all
like women and children.
Women and children, yeah.
And like it's not people that have anything to do with anything.
I mean, it's terrorism. It's 100%.
They don't care.
People will dispute this, and you know, but it's terrorism. And then my dad was like, yeah, we got to get the fuck out of here. Like, this is too much. Like, he's like, I want to be an engineer. And then just went downhill. And so we moved. But they didn't ever tell me. I didn't know Canada was a country. They said we're going to Disneyland. So I was like, why is everyone at the airport when we were leaving? Like my grandma, my aunt, my cousins, they all stayed. All my family's there. But they were like, yeah, we're going to Disneyland. And then like on the plane, they're like, we're not going to Disneyland. I was like, what the fuck?
On the plane. Yeah. I would have at least waited.
Yeah. No, yeah. He's like, we're moving to Canada.
Do you remember arriving here? Do you remember those like first like memories kind of like, where did you land? Where did you come into?
We came straight to Calgary.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, straight to Calgary.
And your dad obviously got a job here doing something?
Not right away. But I mean, like we stayed at a hotel. We came to Calgary, and like it was funny because on the news, I was watching it with him when we moved here, and there was like the news report was someone shot a duck with like an arrow, but the duck didn't die, so it was like swimming in like Princess Island Park, and my dad was
an
like,
arrow just sticking out of it.
And that was like the news, and my dad was like, I know I made the right decision. He was like, if this is the news, like someone shot a duck from a place where it's like 60 people got blown up on a bus in Tel Aviv or in Jerusalem.
He's like, I'm feeling
okay. And he was
okay.
like, we're doing good, guys. But
we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah. That's good. And culture shock, yeah, totally different.
Did you feel safe here, or was it like, what was your feeling like when you got here? Like because you're with your parents, so there's like a certain sense of like of being of home because your parents are with you. Obviously, you're in a new country, but like, were you cold? Did you think people were nice or not nice, or like, what were your experiences?
My brother loved it from the beginning. I hated it. No one was like bad to me. It was just like I didn't speak a word of English. Like we didn't speak. Like, I didn't even know Canada existed. Like, we didn't speak any English. This time, I'm only speaking Russian and Hebrew.
America,
I knew
obviously,
America,
just movies or maybe...
America was huge, yeah.
But not Canada
Not
necessarily.
Canada. I didn't know anything about it. And none of my family was here. Like, none of my aunts, my cousins, my grandma. We came here all alone. And I didn't speak English, so going to school, like, I'd be in the ESL class. And, like, I missed home a lot. Like, I would always ask Mom, like, when are we going back? Because she was like, we're just here. Your dad's going to make some money, and then we're going to move back.
So there was always kind of that light at the end of the tunnel for you, being told to you by your mom, because you don't want to be here anyway, that you might not even have to be here. It was just so
different. I was like a kid in the Middle East, like running around, like doing the wickedest, craziest shit to like now, like I was playing hockey with sneakers because we didn't have ice in Israel, you know.
Right.
But
Yeah.
but I was young. I was like 9, 10 years old, and you assimilate quickly, and it was rad. Like after, because like I picked up English like pretty quick, and then my friends, I would just play like I was like, what is this sport? What is this hockey thing? So I was just like playing with the kids and shit. And
so hockey kind of like helped you.
Yeah.
Maybe get more comfortable living here, maybe a little bit more, or feeling like a little bit more like home, because it was an interest that you had, maybe.
Just here though. I mean, not there. I didn't know what he said. Yeah. Well, that's what the neighborhood was doing. Like my neighbor was like a hockey kid. Yeah. Like we couldn't afford it. We couldn't.
Dude, me neither.
Yeah,
I couldn't
right?
do it either.
It's like insane.
I played like mad cul-de-sac hockey.
Yeah, that's what we
and
did.
like garage hockey, but I
yeah.
never on skates, bro.
Yeah.
Never. Yeah, no.
It was funny because like if you could have seen me back then, like the total immigrant dude. Like my best friend at the time was like a Canadian guy, and so he gave me like an oversized like Flames jersey. So I would wear that, and then he had like these cowboy boots. So I wore this Flames jersey that like covered my shorts.
Yeah, it was like a dress.
So it looked like I was wearing a dress, and I had cowboy boots because the Stampede is Calgary.
Bro. It's Canadian.
So I was this fucking Russian Israeli kid, like in my neighborhood in Braeside, walking around with what looked like just the Flames jersey and cowboy boots, like playing hockey with the wrong-handed stick. And I didn't have like skates at the time; we were too poor. So just
yeah, no, that's fair. I was telling Lincoln actually that when I played too. My buddy had a big Nordique because I was a big kid.
Yeah.
So everyone had like kid-sized things, right? I needed like a dad-sized jersey to wear, and his dad had like a 3X, it was like a 2X Nordiques jersey.
Yeah.
So every time we played, I would wear the Nordiques jersey. I'm not a Nordiques fan, but that jersey I love because I played hockey in it for years. And it was like my only jersey that I could wear.
Man.
Yeah. But yeah, man, that was sweet. That's good. That's good. Like Canadian growing up, you know. So so you kind of learn English slowly. You're getting into where did you go to high school here? Like, where did you end up?
Scarlett. I went to Dr. E.P. Scarlett.
Okay, nice. And then, so getting into more art then, when did you, because obviously you're a tattoo artist, so obviously you're an artist.
Yeah.
When did you start kind of feeling that bone out that that you were kind of like artistic in some ways, or that you like to express yourself in certain ways? So when did that kind of start? So
like specifically drawing didn't happen until I was like first started getting tattooed. Okay. But like looking back, I was like into punk music and so I played the drums in a band and then like I would sew my own clothes, like the patches. So like in that sense of like I was more artistic, but I didn't draw like back then.
You can express it in different ways, you know.
Exactly.
So I was just wondering, some people grow up like being mad art kids.
Yeah.
Some people start later in life, and it doesn't hit them until that passion takes them. And
Absolutely.
then, you can grow your art form from the passion, not necessarily from the length of time you've been doing it. So that's cool, dude. What was the name of your band? What kind of band were you in? The Piss Offs.
Yeah, they're still kicking, I think. And
that's pretty awesome,
played it like,
dude.
You used to work at Tubby Dog, right? Yeah, like they've had shows there. We've had shows there and all that.
Yeah, that's fair. I never really played a lot of the band. I never really worked a lot of the band nights, but yeah, Tubby did have a lot of shows. It's closing down, eh? That's crazy.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's moving. They're moving anyways, but yeah, they're moving. Yeah, because the landlord wants to take over the building for his own business. So they didn't renew his lease, so now he's looking for a new spot. So yeah, it's weird. It's been there since like 2000 and whatever. So
yeah, so it was through that. Like my friends who were in that band, they were older than me, and they were already like tattooed by some of the guys who were like holding it down in the city. Right. So I was like 14, and my friends at the time, he was like 18, and his brother was like 19, and they had like sleeves, and they had all these tattoos, and we were like, fuck, I want to get the Rancid logo tattooed, like with the fist. Dude. Like that's how I first like saw it. Like skateboarding and like punk stuff, right? Like my homies, they all were like tattooed, and I was like,
and you didn't have anything?
No, I was 14. I was like 15.
Oh yeah,
man.
right, because you're way younger. Yeah, that's fair. And plus, your parents would probably kill
Soviet parents, man. Dude, like I had like a joint in my pocket.
Like if you mark your body, isn't that something?
It's against Judaism as well. Yeah.
So it's a double whammy.
For sure. I mean, my family was very secular. For them, it was just the Russian part, but like I had a joint in my pocket once when I was 13, and my mom found it, and she like shaved my head, like treated it like I was in the gulag, like I was grounded forever, no bar mitzvah.
Chained you in the basement.
I like shaved my head, man. I was walking around with like a bald head, like
that's crazy,
looking like a prisoner. You know?
Was she mean, or was
she was a disciplinary? Yeah. She was like, dude, my mom never smoked weed. Like when she told me that, I was like, bullshit. She's like, I'm from the Soviet Union. Like that was like an American thing. You would die if like they caught you with that shit. Like they would do different things in the Soviet Union, you know what I mean? But like like anything that was Western culture, she was like, I don't even know what this is, you know? So like I believed him. So for her, it was like, fuck.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
So is your dad working this whole time in being an engineer and as a geologist and stuff like that? Is he still like? How long was he doing that for, basically?
Yeah, the first couple of years in Canada, he just worked in an office.
Okay, got you.
Because he had to work his way up, and then as soon as he like got into any different position, he went right back to just traveling the whole time, like working overseas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you. So when did you first when did you think you wanted to get into tattooing and like that kind of thing?
So
what was your first tattoo?
Skate and Destroy and lettering on my chest. Yeah.
All right. And you used to skate?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah. Skateboarding. It was literally like I got into skateboarding first. From skateboarding, I got into like punk music. Yeah. And then from punk music, like I wanted to get tattooed. But my friends at the time got tattooed before me. Like they were into it more than I was. Right. So then they got tattooed and I was like, oh shit, like this is pretty cool. Yeah. And I was like, where do you go? Like I want to get one too. Yeah. So got one. Yeah. And then from then on, like I didn't know different styles. I didn't know Japanese, American. Like I didn't have any of it, like anything. I didn't know. Blank slate. Yeah. Right. And then as soon as I kind of like started researching like what tattoos were and the different styles, and I came across traditional tattooing, like that was it for me. Like seeing flash sheets that were like stained yellow, like parchment paper, just like black, green, yellow, like flash pieces. I was like, this is it.
I was going to ask you, like,
aha moment.
How did you get into like? Because there's so many different. You can tattoo in a million different genres, right?
Totally.
But to like really kind of pick your lane, I was just curious kind of like what led you to that.
Yeah.
Because like I feel you too. And I'm not an artist in any fashion, but with a lot of the tattoos that I have on my body, 99% of them are traditional.
Flash pieces, yeah.
And I love it too. And there's something about it, and I can't explain it to you, but it's the simplicity of it with the heritage of it and the look of it, you know?
Absolutely.
So, but some people hate it.
Absolutely.
They're like, the cartoony shit.
Cartoony.
It's like, holy shit, you know? Yeah. But yeah, so when you saw it, you knew kind of immediately, like either A, you wanted to get majority tattooed like this, and that you wanted to maybe start teaching yourself to draw.
Well, so at first, all I did was just look at Flash. Like I just wanted to search Flash, like Flash. Yeah. Like, and then I saw photos of like sailors. Like if I got a book, it would be half of the Flash and the other half of people who had it. Right. And I would just see photos of these dudes like just wearing cool slacks, no shirt, fully covered with like pieces, right? Like swallows and ships and tigers and panther heads and
like
girl
the weird
heads.
Fishes that they would draw, like the weird like sturgeon fish and
I
stuff.
was just like, there's nothing more badass than like a pinup, like a naked chick on your arm, and you're like at sea. I was just like, these guys are cool. Like this is tough. Like this is rad shit.
Super cool.
So then all I wanted to do was just get Flash tattooed on me. So I would like look at like old Flash, bring it to the person who would tattoo me at the time, and be like, I want this. Like I want this.
Like were you getting like replicas of stuff on Flash? Like getting straight rips, like of whatever, like a Sailor Jerry piece or like or whatever. Like okay.
I would get like I would just bring them these Flash, and they would do them their own style, and I hated it. I was like, I don't want it like
you're like I want it like
this,
that,
like just like this. Yeah, like this is sick. Like this is perfect
and
the way it is.
Like I can't do it like that because that's not.
And I didn't get it at the time. But like, listen, I can't rip it off. I want to like do this, you know.
Just all right, I'll stencil it out and then just fuck it.
But I was like, no, like this is the way it should be. Right. So then I just like gone into it, started getting tattooed. And then at the time I was like, everyone's doing kind of new school shit. And I was like, no, like it has to stay this way. Right. So that's when I started drawing it myself, like painting it myself. Like I never went to school. I just like dropped out of college. I was in business school. Crazy. Last semester, first day. I was like, I don't want to fucking do this. Like I want to tattoo.
You had like the epiphany.
I want to paint Flash. I went to like the registrar's office or whatever office was there, and I was like, hey, it was first day of school. I was like, if I drop out, can I get my money back? And the chick was like, you should make an appointment with your guidance counselor. And I was like, that's not what I asked you. I said, will you refund the money if I drop out today? And she was like, yeah, but I highly advise you talk to your counselor.
You're like, oh?
I was like, no. Like I returned my parking pass. Like I dropped out. I told my mom, I'm like, listen, like I'm dropping out of school. Like I'm just gonna draw all day.
Damn. And she was like, okay. She was probably really supportive and understanding.
No,
you're gonna quit your job and just draw all day or school? Okay.
Like, my dad's like traditional business guy, right? He was
he's like, take those business
he was
courses.
like, you want to draw? Like, you want to draw all day? Cool. Come home from your real job and draw. Like, he was like, that's a woman's job. Like, this isn't, like, what is wrong with you? You want to draw and sew and shit? Like, do that when you come back from your real job.
You gonna go cook in a
Yeah,
kitchen
he's like,
too?
you can draw all day you want. Just come, like, get a real job. But I was like, no, like, I'm gonna
That's
tattoo.
pretty ballsy of you,
then,
though. I think you have that streak, though, that I think that I've always seen that in you, is that you really kind of stick to your own guns, like, no matter what, you know? And, like, I think that's a certain kind of person, and you don't meet those kind of people very often where they really... Because a lot of people can get influenced, you know, by their friends or by their parents, or,
For sure.
you know, even, like, your parents being... Russian and Jewish and like you know, and you're like still like, no, this is like what I want to do, you know, instead of like, I don't know, it takes a certain kind of person, and I respect that. Like, totally, you know, it's a tough call to really follow your dreams sometimes when everyone's telling you you're stupid for doing it. So kudos to you, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no,
Appreciate
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
It's like, I think if anybody can take anything from anybody, it's to maybe like stick to your guns a little bit more, you know? Like, especially if you want to do something and you might hear no a few times, or people telling you that they don't think it's a good idea, but for you to believe in yourself and do it, man,
Absolutely.
like, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So that's cool, dude.
Thanks,
I
man.
totally respect that. So what was like the first, so you got Skate or Die.
Skate and Destroy.
Or Skate and Destroy.
Yeah.
And that's ouch, man. That's like spicy on the collarbone. Like, what was your reaction to like getting tattooed the first time? Do you remember? It wasn't
that bad. Like,
where you remember like you were like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah, I was like skinny little guy, like,
dude, you
really
were when I met you. Dude,
really
you
nervous,
were skinny kid.
little guy. Just
you must have been skinnier back then.
Skinny, right where it hurts. Totally, I was, and my friend Sarah Rogers, she tattoos in Ottawa now, so big shout out. Super sweet, like, girl, was really cool, and I think it was like I got all my big pieces when I was younger, like my whole front done, because I was just so energetic. Like, I was so obsessed that like the pain was just like, it was just a stepping stone. It didn't even.
I think the younger you are, really, honestly, dude, the more you can power through it. I think you have the adrenaline to do it.
Yeah. So when I was younger, it was like it sucked, but it was just, like I said, a stepping stone. Like, no, I could like handle it. It's not a problem. Like, I just want this tattoo so bad. Now it's like, fuck no, I couldn't sit more than an hour. Like, there's just no way. I honestly don't know that if I didn't.
It's so funny though, dude, because you remind me, like, working at the shop when I worked at Enso with Jimbo and all those guys, and like working around other tattoo artists and stuff. It's like they'll tattoo you all day, but when it comes to them getting tattooed, 90% of the guys that I know really well that are heavily covered don't want to get any kind of tattoo. They don't, and they can't sit that long, and they're not patient, and like any tattoos they get between each other are like 2-minute tattoo, like little bro tats. They're not sitting for big pieces, you know. It's just funny how that changes, you know, over time. Anyways, so. But yeah, you're pretty covered, man. You've gotten tattooed by a lot of different people, would you say, or have you stuck to kind of like a like 4 or 5 people, or would you say that you've kind of collected?
I've collected when it first started out. Yeah, I collected, and like I'd go to Montreal, I'd go to New York, and I'd go like those places were my favorite. Yeah. So
when you got into tattooing? So now you're absorbing all that flash. You're getting tattooed,
painting every day,
painting all day.
Yeah, all day.
So when are you taking the now? You got to get an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Where do you go?
I took all my paintings. I had like 100 of them. 100 paintings, and I didn't call anyone in advance. I didn't say, like, I just went to tattoo shops, and like an idiot, I went to like the good ones, because I was like, I don't want to do this the wrong way. Like, I want to go to the best, like, reputable ones. And I went there with just all these flash pieces, and I'd be like, hey, does anyone have a moment to look at my stuff? I want to be a tattooer. Will they apprentice me? Like, you know, like, we won't name the names, but like good shops, you know, like, looking back, like, the balls of this fucking skinny kid to go to, like...
But at the same time, you don't know where to start out, and to start out at the good makes sense. Yeah. So I don't think that that's wrong, really. Absolutely. You just need someone to point you in a direction, basically, because you're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
I just knew some people went to some shitty shops, and they just started shitty or whatever, and I was like, I don't want to do that.
You don't want that.
If I'm not going to do it legit, I don't want to do it at all. Right. So I went to all these good shops, including Carrie. The first time she met me, she's like, I have no interest in teaching anybody. Like, beat it.
Totally fair.
All of them said that. Like, a couple people looked at it and gave me like critiques, which was cool. Like, someone like, I'll never teach anyone. Like, I'll never teach you, but I'll look at your stuff, and they'd be like, okay, this is where you're going wrong. This is where it's not bad. Like, a lot. And I came home kind of like defeated, and my dad's like, well, why the fuck would anyone teach you? You'd be taking away their business. Like, that's not how it works, you know?
The business dad.
I was like, like, okay. So, and then I just like kept painting. I was like, this sucks, but whatever, you know, and then went to the Montreal show. Like all my homies were doing other shit. I went to the Montreal show to get tattooed. I just went 3 days in a row to get tattooed by all my favorite tattooers. Like, yeah, like all of them. And Carrie was working it. And I already went to her once. She was like, beat it, I don't want to teach anyone. So she had homies that like didn't even go to the Montreal show to work. Like they weren't even that outgoing. And yet here's this kid who isn't a tattooer, like talking to all these tattooers, like networking, collecting. Like
putting in the time and the work.
I got tattooed by like, I remember laying in my hostel being like, what the fuck? I got my collar, like my shoulders tattooed, like through the, under the neck kind of shit. I got like this like crazy like pussy monster by Dan Sins on the inside of my arm. And I got like,
what did you get through your shoulders?
Like a snake going through by Seth Wood and like Chuck Donahue did like this cool girl head. And then he did a eagle on my leg.
You are banging it
And then
out.
I got like this anchor from the guys in Washington, DC, it's the Tattoo Paradise. The guys from there were there. So I got all these tattoos, and Carrie's like, fuck, man, this kid's like painting flash every day. He's going to Montreal to get tattooed. So then like I came back. She came back to Calgary. We came back to Calgary, and I just came back again. I don't know like what happened, but I was like, hey, can you look at my shit? Can you look at my flash? Like, see what you think? And she was like, yeah, okay, like I'll teach you. Like I think you got something
That's
going
awesome.
on. And I was like, fucking, it was on my 23rd birthday, like right around then, and I was just like, this is sick. And
that's sweet.
Yeah.
So how long after that, meeting her and talking to her at the convention, would you say you were in the shop and doing your thing?
So after she said she took me in, I was there like right away.
Oh, awesome.
Right away. Like I didn't quit my first job because it's an apprenticeship. It was free, right? Like you don't get paid, you work. So I was working 2 jobs. I went from like being at the shop a couple days, like just cleaning, being around Carrie, like seeing all that stuff, to then I quit my job and I was at the shop 7 days a week. Every day I was just at the shop, like cleaning, drawing, watching Carrie tattoo, and I just did that. Like living in my mom's basement. So I was just like, I didn't have huge bills. And all I did was just be at the tattoo shop every day, 7 days.
And it was a small, like this. It was similar to this. I would
tiny.
say it was
You
just the 3
that.
of you guys.
It was
like you, Nick, and
4 of us
Carrie,
in total.
And who was the other
it was
one?
Carrie, Jay Slinger, Nick
Slinger.
Lewitt. Yeah. And Slinger was there. And yeah.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he's awesome.
When
we
I
went,
forgot
and it was,
that he was there, but
yeah.
he was never there. That's the thing, is that he was never there when we were there. He was very rarely there. He was always tattooing either different days or whatever. But I never would see him at the shop.
He was very like he would tattoo like all day for his clients, and then as soon as he was done, he would go home. Like he didn't
really chill.
Yeah, he didn't like want to.
Good.
He was like he was already been doing it for so long.
Oh, for sure.
And like I don't want to say he was jaded, but he was just like he just did it for so long.
Definitely,
and he like. He was really rad where he didn't have like an ego, so he didn't want to be around those tattooers who were like, I'm a cool guy, because he was just like an old skate punk kid too. And it was rad when I first came in there. Me and him like bonded really quick.
Oh, for sure.
He was like,
dude, he's a gem.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a wicked dude. And we were both into like the same music, the same skateboarding. Like he was into that shit. And he did like a stint. He worked in Amsterdam with like some of those old like Henk Schiffmacher and like Hanky Panky and all those dudes. Like he's been around like some big name dudes. But
that's rad, dude. To get some skills or even to be around guys
just the stories
that caliber would be sick. Yeah, that's awesome.
Told the story of like Tattoo Molly, like this old school guy like threw a dude into the canal, like a dirty fucking canal in Holland, in Amsterdam, and like just all the cool shit that they would like tattoo and then go to the escorts.
Dude,
and,
Amsterdam's
like,
rad.
Yeah,
that place is.
I went
sick.
there with my parents, man. I was 16. Yeah.
Dude, when I was there, I was in a hostel with my buddy, and we were sharing it with 2 Swiss brothers, 2 French-speaking Swiss brothers.
Yeah.
They were both, sorry to get sidetracked, they were both rocket scientists.
Fuck.
They were working on the hydrogen collider that they have, like that's sending the particles. So they come to Amsterdam, sharing the hostel with us. They've never done drugs before. They've never been on a trip before. And we come back, like me and my buddy come back from spending the time out, and they're crying. They're crying like in their bunk.
Because
they took too many hits of acid. And they're doing mushrooms, and they're going to sex shows. And I'm like, where? What are these guys doing?
You got to taper yourself into that.
Dude,
you
these
can't just
rocket
jump
scientists
in.
are just going nuts, man.
Yeah.
But I had fun in Amsterdam. It was good. It's a place where you can really unhinge yourself. That's for sure. But yeah, that's sick, dude. So when did you? So you got your collarbone tattooed, then you started getting tons of pieces. Now you're working at the shop.
Yeah.
So when does it start? Like, who was You tattoo yourself first.
That was the first one. Yeah, I tattooed myself.
So what did you tattoo? What was your first tattoo on
It was
yourself?
a butterfly. Butterfly,
okay.
like right above
Is it
my
like
knee.
on the leg or
Right
on the
above the knee,
shin?
right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's kind of nice. Do you still have it, or is
Absolutely.
it covered up?
No,
Yeah,
I still
that's
have
good.
it.
Sometimes people get it covered
Absolutely.
up. They never know.
Yeah.
That's sweet. And then so you start tattooing friends slowly, start building it up that way.
Yeah.
And then so how was it for you starting out? Were you nervous, or were you like pretty confident?
No,
like,
I'm still nervous.
Yeah,
like,
fair.
The most nerve-wracking thing was when I was like kind of done the apprenticeship and then I was then taking walk-ins, and that was the most like anxiety-ridden thing for me because like I spent so much time just trying to be like in love with traditional tattooing, so that when people came in with something that was a little different, it took me a while to like to try to realize that I need to be more rounded, you know, like obviously I don't need to be like a portrait guy or this guy, but it would be smarter to be able to do other styles in a clean way, right? Yeah. So that just like gave me anxiety. If someone would come in and I'm like, I want
a bird,
yeah,
and then the feet are trunks of trees, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, what am I drawing?
Because my biggest thing was like, I don't care to make the most money. I just want to do a good tattoo. So regardless of the style, the image, if I can do a good job on it, I'll do it. Right. I just don't want, especially starting out, every tattooer can admit this. I have some shitty tattoos out there that I've done. Done some bad ones.
Everyone has.
And that just hurts the soul.
Oh, for sure. But you learn from those things, right? They're all learning.
Absolutely. It got to a point where I was like, I just don't want to do a tattoo where I'm not going to be the best guy for it. That's where it was just,
Yeah, that's fair.
And then, but slowly, like, as you get better, you get more confident, you bang out more pieces, and kind of like when to say no, when to say yes, and what to do and stuff. But I still get nervous. Like, I still get stressed. Like,
that's fair.
I still...
I've heard a couple people say that.
Yeah.
I think that's normal.
Absolutely.
Kind of keeps yourself grounded, I
Absolutely.
think. Is there anything that you've tattooed that you have... No, sorry. Is there anything that you want to tattoo that you've never tattooed? Is there anything that kind of you're like, damn, I would love to, but I've never, like, no one's ever come in with the right idea? Or that you've tattooed maybe a version of it, but not the version you want to do of it? Is there anything kind of like that?
Honestly, not quite, because it used to be the Pharaoh's horses.
Okay.
Like, that was my favorite image ever. And then the Rock of Ages. And I just did a Rock of Ages back piece as my first back piece ever, like a full, like, real one. And that was my friend Jared who wanted it, so I was super stoked. Yeah.
That's sick.
And
I didn't know that was your first one.
That was my first, like, real back piece. Not, like, just kind of like a medium-sized one, but, like,
that's like a full back. Yeah,
and he was, like, 6'3".
Yeah.
Or something. I was like,
you did 2 back pieces, really, honestly, dude.
Yeah. And I was like, fuck.
On a 5'5" guy, that's 2 back pieces.
And then the Pharaoh's horses, my friend Brian from Saskatchewan, he wanted it.
Was that a front?
It was a stomach. And that was like those two. I was like, I just love this image. I have it on my stomach, and I was like, this is my favorite image. I want to tattoo this. So those two.
What is it about the Pharaoh's horses? Just curious.
Yeah, I don't.
What is it that you love about it? I'm just
like
curious.
the way it looks. I always
like the way that it's positioned, sort of,
and then like the roses, how they play like the border with the leaves, the filigree.
That's fair.
And then you see it mainly because I saw it on old sailors, because that's where I kind of fell in love with all that shit. Was seeing old school tattoos on those dudes.
I agree.
Right?
100% agree.
So like that French island, I think off like Papua New Guinea. It was like a movie about that guy who like broke out of it. Okay. He had like the famous butterfly tattoo on his chest. Yeah. But like those tattoos, like those old school like European trash fucking prisoners with the gnarliest, like, it's janky, but it's like just an outline of a woman's head on their chest and like a dagger.
Even like when it's blown out and it looks good.
Yeah,
you're like
the Russian prison style ones.
Yeah.
So like I just love that shit. Just that grimy looking.
Yeah. Kind of janky.
And I think I like it more because I don't see myself as like a great artist. Like I'm not very, like, some people draw way better than me. Like other tattooers, like, and for me it was like, which is why I always like punk music too.
But it's hard to compare. I always feel it's hard to compare because everybody, even within traditional, even though there's those rules that everyone has to kind of like follow, you can still make your imprint on it. And I feel like your art has that imprint on it. And I don't think you can compare it. Like, it isn't better or worse. It's just yours.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that's how I look at it anyways. You might look at it different.
No, it's true, because when people come to me,
your pinup isn't worse or better than his pinup. Yeah. That's just your pinup.
Sure.
Like, I don't know.
Well, yeah, because
I
like
love your style, dude.
Man.
I think it's super. And I think there's something East Block about it, which I like.
Yeah.
There's something, I can't put my finger on it, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the way you draw it or how thick your lines are sometimes, but there's something about it that I like that is East Block about
Thanks,
it.
man.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It's your own.
Because that's why I've always liked, like punk music and this stuff, because it was like, technically it wasn't like the respected music. It wasn't like the talented people. It was the ones who just taught themselves to do it. And that was me. Like I didn't go to school for any of that stuff. So I just like picked up a drum kit, or I just drew because I liked it. Like I looked at this panther so many times and just tried to draw it. So that's why I like those forms, because it was like I could do this. Like it's attainable, and that's why I always loved it. But yeah,
still hard though. I mean,
Absolutely.
you're teaching yourself a craft without really anybody kind of like guiding you. You're kind of guiding yourself, like that's tough, dude. That takes a lot of self-control.
Yeah, I can't.
And like speaking of kind of that growth too, the other side of you is like when I met you in 2010, like we said, you were a bit of a skinnier kid.
Yeah, I wasn't into sports. I was just obsessed with tattooing.
I wouldn't say you look bad or nothing. Like you were just kind of
someone should have been like, dude, like pick up a dumbbell. I was vegetarian. I was like vegetarian straight edge, like fucking eating, just like what are you like?
You were vegetarian,
like
and then I remember thinking like that could have something to do with it. I don't know.
Sure,
but at the same time, I'm not here to judge anybody, right? So
you should have right from the beginning, like, dude, you're small. No. Do something about it.
But to see you grow and train with the lifting that you've been doing, man, it's crazy. I mean, like obviously you look insane, and I follow you on Instagram. We'll put your Instagram up so people can follow you and check you out and see you lift. And I know you just won.
Yeah.
What was the competition that you were in that you just currently won?
It was provincials. Alberta provincial championships.
And then that goes to you'll be competing in the nationals then?
Yeah, qualified.
And when is
nationals.
that?
It'll be in the spring.
Oh, okay.
In the spring.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So that process of like kind of getting into like lifting and stuff, like how did that part of your life come into, like when did you start thinking like, hey man, like I kind of want to start working on myself, like my own body and my own body image? When did that kind of start happening for you?
Yeah, so it was funny because Jay Slinger, his client was a personal trainer who worked at like World Health named Steve Vanderpool, and he came in one day and he was like, dude, you're small, like you're a little guy, you should do something about it. And I was like, this is just the way I'm like, it is. You're born. Like people are either born strong or they're born weak. Like I had no education in this thing, right? I was like, this is just how it is. And he was like, no, man, like you could do something about that. And I was like, you mean to tell me I could be big? Like I could be like Arnold? And he was like, and then I was like, I don't want to be too big though. Like he brings this up every day now because it's never enough. I want to be a fucking mass monster.
Yeah.
And I remember when he was like, yeah, just come into the gym, man. And I was like, I don't want to be too big. Kind of just want to like get a little
I want to get some definition.
And he was like, you're not, first of all, there's no such thing as too big, because once you start, you'll realize. And he's like, it's not going to happen like overnight. Right. And then, and I would like, I tattooed him for some like personal training sessions. Yeah. And I came into the gym, didn't know anything, didn't know what to do, where to start, like anything. Right. And then he just like took me around to do some stuff. And I was just so bad, like so weak, that I was like inspired by how bad I was at something, which is the way it always worked. Yeah. Everything I've ever picked up, I was terrible at. Right. And I was like, it can't end this way. Like I have to be better. I don't have to stick it through all the way, but it has to be better than how it is now.
I wish I had that mindset, man. I'm the opposite. Everything. I'm like, I'm not good. Next.
No, like even
I'm moving on.
Yeah, even when I was boxing, like doing Muay Thai,
crazy.
I was so bad. I had these little guys like fucking run circles around me, and I was like, this can't be it. So I started like going to the gym. He was like my trainer. Introduced me to like.
Now are you going heavy right away? Or are you kind of starting off easy?
No, dude, it was just the bar.
Okay,
it was like just the bar on a bench press. It was like pull-ups. I couldn't even do a chin-up, so I had to do like the deficit where you climb to the top and let yourself down. Like it was literally from nothing. But as time went, I like stuck to it.
But it's slow, and then as you do it, you build up sort of obviously.
As soon as you see some sort of results, as soon as you like.
You put that extra weight on the bar.
Like the extremist mentality. I was obsessed with it. Yeah. And then I just like slowly built up. And then it got to a point where I'm like, I was still a little guy. Yeah. And technically I'm not that big compared to anyone else in the gym. And being 6'1", like I tell all the dates and stuff when I got my Timbs on.
Hey, when you're writing it on a profile, it can be anything you want it to be, man.
Like with my Timbs on, I'm like 6'1".
With my lips.
So yeah, and like seeing results, and I was like squatting more than like the other dudes there, and I was like, this is sick. Like I'm doing something.
You're like, I might have some talent for this.
Yeah, like everybody was
doing. To get into what you're doing now, man. Yeah. I think it takes talent.
Yeah, well, this is a
work
sport,
and
whereas
talent.
where that was just kind of getting in shape.
Right.
where
Yeah.
now
You were
it's like
working out. Yeah.
I
You
was
weren't
working
really
out.
into lifting. Yeah.
So just did that for a couple of years. Started getting stronger, getting bigger. Kind of doing it on my own. After that, because like Steve, I didn't need him to be there every day after that. Right.
Yeah. You start learning skills. And
I kind of got a little bit more into like the strength style of it, like powerlifting, like just squat, dead, bench, and then I just kind of got a little bored. And my friend was boxing at the time. Like my best friend was like, "You should try Muay Thai," because I wanted to compete in something, and he was like, "You should like try this out." So like I went. And same thing, man. Like fell in love with it, but I was so bad, because that's the sport where being big doesn't help you. You got to be fast and you got to be small.
Yeah.
So then I just like did that for 2 years. I just like competed and
I remember you had a few fights.
Yeah, a couple fights. Yeah, 2 fights.
How was that? Competing
was
must
great.
have been crazy.
It was scary
dude.
as fuck. I won them both.
That's awesome.
Retired undefeated.
Undefeated.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It was great.
That's
it was
awesome.
scary as fuck.
Well, dude, I can't
Scary as fuck.
imagine.
Yeah.
You're really you're competing at something that is like, who has the most power, the longest endurance. Like that's crazy. And you're not only that, you gotta counteract someone else's you got to get your mind into it, man. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. I was just scared because I didn't want to get knocked out in front of my friends.
Well, and I'm thinking too, the first thing I'm thinking of is your hands as a tattooer.
It's funny because
I'm like, if you fuck up your hands, bro, if your left hand now shakes, you can do, man.
And everyone always tell me that, but I was just
putting it at
fuck
risk.
it, man.
Well,
Glory,
but
right?
that's your call, right? That's 100% your call.
I think I should have been more careful though, because everyone was like, people were like, oh, they would say the exact same thing, but I was like, I don't give a shit.
It's just funny, not tattoo artist thinking about your hands, you tattoo artist not thinking about your hands.
I was like,
it's just funny. No, but that's fair. That's good. I think that goes down to, like I was saying about you, is that you just have that drive, that fuck you, I can do it kind of thing, and prove it to you. So, hey man, it worked out.
Yeah.
And so now, how long have you been kind of like lifting, like doing deadlifts and stuff for?
Well, so I was just doing kind of that strength stuff, and then I stopped boxing.
Got into Muay Thai.
Yeah, I got Muay Thai, and then
you're like, I don't know,
2 years
man.
later, it was weird. Like life stuff happens, like my dad passed away from cancer, and then I just didn't want to just go in the ring. But I went to like dad died on Wednesday, went to the gym on Thursday. Like went to work Thursday, went squatting Thursday, because I was like, I always loved weightlifting. Because in boxing I had to cut weight and I didn't want to be small again. And then weightlifting was I was literally in the squat rack crying because my dad's dead. But I was like, but I'm doing this because I love weightlifting. So I was like, so this is what you should do.
Is it kind of like maybe a little bit of an escape? Maybe?
I don't know. I just think it's one of those things where I could do...
Or maybe you just kind of have to keep moving forward in some respect. Anyways.
It was just something I could do no matter what.
Yeah.
Like whether I was happy, depressed, healthy, sick. Like I just wanted to...
I don't work out though, but I hear from people who do that it gets you into a different state of mind.
Totally.
So as much as you are obviously conscious of what's going on, it's giving you a purpose and something to do to kind of keep those those thoughts, whatever they may be, good, positive, bad, good, whatever, away, so that you can really just concentrate on doing this.
Yeah.
So maybe it's kind of like a break.
Totally.
Like a kind of a break where you can just concentrate on doing yourself, and then
everything stops for that moment. It's
totally.
You don't have this payment, this bill, this pain.
Because you're really just in the moment.
It's just about lifting this way, and it's never enough. You hit a big record for yourself, and now it's add another kilo.
Right,
add another kilo.
Let's keep going.
Yeah, you gotta keep going. It's
the
not
stairs
enough.
keep going up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's fair.
So then I was like, fuck, I can do this no matter how I feel, and I want to do it no matter how I feel. So quit boxing, and then I got into Olympic lifting. I just saw this. My friend was like, dude, look at these crazy Russians. And I was like, well, I'm from the Soviet Union. I should
I got
do
those
this.
genes.
Yeah. And it's a completely different sport from just squat, dead, bench, completely. But I was like, this is sick. This is fuck. These guys are
Is that the powerlifting
jumping.
you see in the Olympics where they're and then there's two though. Some you only bring to your chin?
Powerlifting is squat, dead, bench.
Okay,
right?
okay.
But what you saw in the Olympics, it's just called weightlifting.
Oh,
but that is Olympic lifting. That's it.
But it's lifting. Yeah,
it's lifting,
okay,
and it's two movements: the snatch, which is right from the bottom
to your chin
to the top in the squat catch.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it's in one movement you got to get it overhead.
And then you stand up.
The clean, and then you stand up. The clean and jerk is when you catch it on a front rack position in a squat position. You stand it up and then you jerk it overhead. You toss it overhead. But it's the two movements, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But you're essentially just jumping with weights,
Crazy.
throwing it over your head. Yeah.
Like watching your video, even from the weekend when you posted.
Yeah.
I like watching your body. It's just crazy because like your arms are so extended sideways, they almost look like they're gonna like
collapse.
break or like collapse, you know, just because of the angle. But that's obviously where your muscles and your training come in. Like, it's just weird to see the body posture, I think.
Absolutely.
Because it's like from somebody from the outside, it looks so unnatural.
It is unnatural.
That's fair.
That's the crazy thing that you learn is that it's against evolution. Because like, think about it, right? Like evolution states that if something heavy overhead, you want to get out of the way. Right. That's an instinct. You got to jump out of the way. If
your
something's
head's
heavy,
in
because you're
danger.
gonna die.
Yeah.
Right? Something heavy overhead. Your instinct is to jump out of the way. Yeah. In weightlifting, you have to be under it. Like
that's
you can't
crazy.
be behind
So you're
or ahead.
fighting that.
Like you're fighting natural selection, adaptation.
Crazy.
Where it's like, if you're ahead, it's gonna fall forward. If you're behind, it's gonna fall behind you. You have to like commit to it and have it on top of your head to lock it out. So you have to like force yourself in training to like not jump out of the way, to get under it and like do it.
That's so hard to do. When you have to take the way your brain naturally acts and then to flip it on its side.
It's just
so
like fighting,
hard,
right?
dude.
Because like your instinct
dude.
is to close your eyes. Yeah. So you train yourself not to flinch, not to close your eyes. You get punched, but you can't look away. Yeah. You're fighting instinct, like you're fighting natural, right? Fight or flight. You either run away or you like deal with it.
I see those TikToks of the guys who are like
the fails.
lifting, but then they go down so hard from like they lose the blood in their head sometimes too. You know, like the guys who pass out or the guys who like it can be gnarly.
It's
bro.
very common
like,
because
have
when
you
you
ever
catch it, it's
hurt
right on your
yourself
clavicle.
really bad or anything? Like, have you ever?
I have injuries like nagging, like knee and shoulder pains.
Got you. That would make sense though, bro. Like your
very
knee
common.
putting that pressure on your knee all the time, like.
Tendonitis, a lot of tendonitis.
Crazy.
A lot of tendonitis,
And then you come back to your regular job where you're tattooing in uncomfortable positions and like
that's the thing.
You're like, can I just like get a normal days?
And my coach tells me that like that's where like my deficit is, because on top of just weightlifting, having bad posture like all day, like you're already in like 100%. A tennis elbow kind of situation.
Yeah.
So it's like, but yeah.
That's crazy, dude. Well, I know you have some like, and I know we've like glanced over a lot and talked about a lot of stuff. But yeah, I mean, obviously I know that you have crazy stories and I'd love to hear
stories,
like whatever stories you feel like you want to tell, man. I'm down to hear them. So yeah, like let's what you were at your cousin's wedding or you were at
back home in Israel.
Okay,
it was actually I was already apprenticing for Carrie at the time. Right. Yeah, and my cousin she was getting married. So my aunt or my dad, my mom is like, we got to go to your cousin's wedding. Like, you know, she babysat me when I was a kid. So I was like, great, that's awesome. I go to Israel. I'm like 24 years old. I'm visiting my family. Everything's great. The day of he's half Greek, half Libyan Jew. Okay. So they have this thing called China, where it's like almost like Moroccan, but it's like a pre-wedding celebration. You do this thing, and we were supposed to go, and Hamas, the terrorist organization, started bombing Israel, and we got bombed, like legit.
Oh my God.
I was sleeping at 6 a.m. It was 6 a.m, and the sirens, like national sirens in the country, are going off, like World War II sirens, right?
Oh my God, dude.
And it's 6 a.m, and my cousin's like, "Yo, get up," and I'm like, "What's going on?" He's like, "We're getting bombed." And I was like, get the fuck out of here. And I turn around, like I'm just like turn over. He's like, no. And the apartments in Israel now, when they build them, one room has to be thicker walls and like a metal slide over the window in case of like bombings, which was my grandma's room. So he was like, no, for real, like get up. We got to go to grandma's room. We're getting bombed. 6 a.m, tiny apartment. It's me, my two cousins, my aunt, my uncle, my mom, my dad, my grandma. We're all, and Chad just did my back piece. Like just tattooed my back. I'm in my underwear with all my family in my grandma's room. You hear the national siren, you have 10 seconds, and then you hear the bombs land and like the building kind of shakes. So the first one lands and people are like, oh, okay, fuck, right? And then my grandma goes, oh, you got your back tattooed? And I go, yeah, grandma. And she goes, don't you think you should stop? Like, you're getting quite a bit as bombs are raining down. Like, the fucking apartment is shaking. Like, shaking. And I go, yeah, can we just, like, maybe get over this thing and then we'll figure out, like, about the next placement?
Oh, my God.
You know? And she's like, you should probably just stop getting tattooed, you know? Like, it's a little much now. And then like it kind of gets quiet for a bit. My uncle opens up like the metal slide, looks out. He's like, all right, you're good. And we go back out, and my cousin goes, watch, it'll happen again tomorrow, same time. He's like, these guys don't even fucking change the timetable.
Really?
He was like,
Oh
they
my
don't even think to
God.
make it at a different time. And shit you not, like he went to work and 6 a.m, the same thing. So I'm like,
So that's just a daily for them at that time, I guess.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then they had to
Jeez.
cancel my cousin's wedding because his family was from the north and they didn't want to come to the south because of the bombing. So they had to change the venue like last minute. Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy, dude. I bet you a lot of people can't say they've been to a wedding that was bombed before. That's for sure. Holy crap,
by Islamic
dude.
Jihad, Palestinian
Hamas?
Islamic Jihad. Yeah,
Not hummus.
not
Hamas.
hummus, Hamas.
For all you whiteys out there.
Yeah. So it was
Crackers.
it was gnarly, and then
That's crazy, dude. And you were like, I remember you telling me too, you were like a Hasidic Jew for a bit.
for a little bit right after like my
and you got
punk
those
phase.
curls, and
Yeah,
the hats.
yeah.
Do they all have glasses? I
A
feel
lot
like
of
they all
them
have
do because they read
glasses.
so much. It's true because they read so much. They all wear glasses.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because they all, when I'm in New York, I've been to New York like 6-7 times.
Yeah.
Every time I'm there, you see them, right?
Absolutely.
Obviously. And they're always really nice. And like, they don't really interact with you in any
No.
sort of way, but they're
No.
nice. Like, they don't.
Like the thing
they
is,
stick to themselves.
Absolutely.
Sort of. And that's fine. I get it.
and that's the thing. Like, it's religious extremism, but they want to be left alone. They're not out there to like convert people. They're not out there to push their stuff. They just want to live the way they lived in Eastern Europe with their old ways, and that's it. Like, they're not gonna. They don't. Well, I was gonna say they don't attack people. Yeah, they don't attack people.
No.
Yeah, they're like they're in their own thing, their own world. They just want to be left alone.
So when you were in that part of your life,
Yeah.
were you like this? It's like heavy religion all the time when you're a Hasidic Jew, I would assume, or at
Everything
least
is
tell
based
you-
on Judaism. When you're
Oh,
like a Hasidic Jew, everything is
Gotcha.
based on like Jewish stuff. Like
Right.
Judaism. Like that's all it is.
how long were you?
2 years.
Wow.
It was wild because my dad hated it because he was like against religion, like hated it.
Yeah.
And I was like, Soviet Union, you weren't allowed to practice religion. Like Jews, like my dad's family,
makes
like
sense.
his great grandpa was a Hasidic rabbi. Like my dad's grandmother was like the daughter of the rabbi. She like held the Jewish community in Azerbaijan. She was like in charge of all that shit. There's no photos of him because like during Stalin's era, like if you were a religious Jew, like you went to the gulags. So there's no photos of like my dad's family and it stopped from my grandpa changed his name. He had a super like Yiddish Jewish name and couldn't get a job because of his name. So it from his generation, it stopped. Like it just went full secular.
It's crazy that you don't have that history.
Yeah.
Of all those pictures, man. That's
Yeah.
so crazy.
It's insane. Yeah, totally. Like, so it all stopped from there. And then it was like my last year of high school, I decided I wanted to do this. I was just like, I want to be a rabbi. I want to fucking
kinda
like do this
cool.
shit. And that's when I went, my dad's aunt lived in Amsterdam. And my mom was like, not Amsterdam, in The Hague, but in the Netherlands. She was like, you should go meet this woman. She's a great person. Like, she helped me a lot in Russia. Because when we escaped the Soviet Union, they sent my mom to Moscow right away. And then from Moscow to Israel. So they were like, I lived with them when you guys were toddlers. Like, she's a great woman. You should go meet her. So we went over, and it was good because she died of cancer like the next year. Like it came, yeah, it was wild. Like,
Jeez.
it's almost like my
At
mom
least you
kind of
got a
felt
chance
it.
to meet her
Yeah.
and see
Yeah.
it and have that. Wow, that's crazy, dude.
And
So what did she tell you, or what was your meeting like with her?
she was really educated, really smart, tough life. Like I think her first husband used to like beat her, and so she moved to to Holland, and like became a professor, started like tutoring like kids in Holland, and then it was wild because her husband was just like a Dutch guy, and his first wife died of cancer, and then my aunt died, so like both his wives died of cancer. Yeah, it's wild. And but I was like religious at the time, and I wanted to get into the diamond district. Like my uncle's a jeweler, so I love it. Like he did all my rings, and I would just see it, and I was like, I could still be a Hasidic Jew and work
And be a jeweler.
and like deal diamonds.
Make the money,
and, like,
yeah, dude.
So they wanted to go to Belgium because it's so close, and I was like, yo, we should go to Antwerpen. That's where all the Hasidic Jews like deal diamonds. They're like, no, we're gonna go to Bruges or Brugge. It's like where old women knit like crochet. And I was like, guys, come on, don't fuck with me. Let's go to Holland or Belgium. Let's go to like Antwerp. I wanna get into it. And they were like, no, we're going to go to Bruges. And I was like, fuck, okay.
So
We
he's
go
done
there.
your rings? I didn't know
he
that.
did
He's
all,
done
like,
all your
yeah,
rings,
yeah.
all your jewelry and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Really? That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's awesome,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
That's
He's got
rad.
a wild story too, that guy, yeah. His parents are Holocaust survivors, like essentially born on a boat on the way to Israel and got polio in Israel. So instead of going in the army, he just moved to Canada, Montreal, like in the 70s. And like all alone, because everyone was, it's conscription, they went to the army, and he was like, well, I can't do that, but I still got to be
he
a
had
man.
polio?
Yeah, he had
Yeah,
polio,
yeah, yeah.
so
he could
he's partly
fight.
handicapped.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
he just like moved to Canada, Montreal, all alone, started his own business, like a jeweler. So like, yeah, it was really, really cool.
That's
and
so
inspiring.
crazy,
Yeah,
dude. Holocaust survivor.
His parents, yeah.
Jeez, dude.
So we go to Belgium, and I love desserts. Like my thing is like sweets, you know? I'm partially lactose intolerant. And so we go, and I was like, yo, I'm in
Lincoln's
Belgium.
lacto too.
Yeah, and they had a big pot of like, I was like, I'm going to get hot chocolate. like I'm going to get some fucking
it
hot
looks
chocolate.
the same coming out as it does going in.
100%.
Especially when you're a lactose.
So I drink this whole pot to myself because
my
adults don't drink hot
God,
chocolate.
right,
And
yeah.
I'm drinking this hot chocolate, and we're driving from Belgium to Holland.
my
And in the
God.
highway, my stomach is fucking killing me.
Well, yeah.
Just destroying me. And I didn't really like my dad's aunt's husband. He's just like a weird Dutch guy, like very weird and like cold. And so I'm like in his car, and I tell my mom, like, yeah, we have to pull over. Like I'm trying to be a man about this. Like I'm either shitting like in the car or it's outside. Like you got to make an
It's
executive
coming.
decision, but it's coming. So we
coming.
need to pull over. So I'm like, tell the guy to move over. I'm 16 this time. I'm like, you got to tell him to move over, please. So he pulls over, and this is the highway that connects Belgium with Holland. So we pull over, and the thing about fucking the border is it's filled with beautiful forests.
Right.
Forest everywhere.
Right.
Great place to take a dump.
Right.
Except there's canals that separate
So you
the
have
forest.
to run through the canal.
You have to jump
You have
over
to
the
jump
canal.
over it or through it. Yeah, depending how big it is. Yeah,
I don't know if you ever tried to do
I'm not
hurdles
jumping,
when you
no.
got diarrhea.
I'm just going to the canal.
So
I'm dipping
I'm
my ass.
literally like, dude, I'm like sweating bullets. I'm like, what do I do? Like, at the moment I jump, I'm fucking shitting
100%.
myself.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can't jump, like, and it's coming.
Squatting
So I
time.
just took my pants off, and I'm shitting on the road, like on the
Like a man. Like
yeah,
a man
like the
would.
emergency lane.
Yeah.
And so, but this connects Belgium with Holland, so it's all these like all these cars, transit, like all that shit.
It's busy.
And I'm just shitting myself
just
on the
making
road.
gravy.
Just this fucking Canadian Hasidic Jew.
A lacto Canadian
Yeah.
Hasidic Jew that drank a full pot of hot chocolate.
And can you imagine this guy's like his first introduction to like this people's distant family to his country is this kid's
He's
shitting
like, is
on
that
this
guy
country.
peeing? No.
And the worst part was like I had to get back in the car and like sit
Well,
there for
yeah.
another hour.
What are you, drip dry?
Yeah, like it's like what do I do? You know? So I was like, I am so embarrassed.
Oh my
So
god,
embarrassed.
dude. That's
and then
crazy.
yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah. And that was their fucking.
So did you end up going to look at the diamonds?
No, they went to this place where old people like do crochet.
Oh, is that what they went
Yeah,
to? Oh,
Bruges.
I thought
Look
you
it
went
up, man. Boring fucking shit. Literally, old people like they're known for like the crochet, like
Yeah.
this
I know what
fancy
you mean.
stuff.
Yeah. I've seen it before. So imagine if you ended up going. It could have like
Could have been
changed your
cool, man.
life, though.
Yeah.
It could have been that could have been your path.
That could have been it.
You
yeah.
could have been like, yo, I'm doing
staying here.
diamonds.
Me and Moishe are gonna sell diamonds to the world.
You're gonna build a palace. That's crazy.
Could have been that.
That's so funny, dude.
Yeah. And then on that trip, I was like, we walked through the red light district, and this beautiful, like, big black escort came out and was like calling me over. And because my dad hated religion at the time, he was like, "Go over there." Like, go over, man. Get your head out of this bullshit. Like, go over. And my mom was like, fucking
Like he wanted
pissed.
you to
Yeah.
go sleep with her?
Yeah, he was
That's
like,
amazing,
yeah, he was
though.
like, because she whistled for me, right? And,
Well, yeah,
And
but
my dad was
still.
like, go over. Yeah, just go over there. Get this shit, like, quit with this religion bullshit. And my mom was like, don't encourage him. Like, do not. Like, how
Wow.
dare you?
Wow.
And my dad was like, we got to get him out of this bullshit.
Got to get his dick wet.
Yeah, he's like, go over there, man. Like,
oh my god,
and I
that's
was
so
like-
funny. That must have been crazy having that parallel
Yeah.
of your mom being like the one way
Yeah.
and your dad being like, oh,
yeah.
Oh,
It's like, there's
whatever.
nothing worse than what he's doing right now
Whatever.
for my dad. He was like, there's nothing worse than this.
fair enough.
Oh, you want to hear another crazy awesome
Yeah,
story?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, it was so shortly after that, I went back to visit my family. Like
Okay.
I still have Israeli citizenship. I love it over there.
That's dope.
And I go and visit my cousins, my aunt, my grandma was still there at the time. And it was shortly after I stopped being a Hasidic Jew, and I go over there, And my uncle's like, all right, tonight, guys, like, stay up, because I was like jet lagged. He's like, I'm gonna take you out. So we went to the strip club in Israel, and it was like, it's a little different over there.
What?
Yeah, it's like, there's no
strip club
Israel? Behind the fucking.
I didn't even think there would be one.
Oh, buddy. There's sex everywhere.
Like what? There's sex everywhere. They even like to fuck.
So we go behind like this old bus station, and anyone from Israel that knows about the central bus station in Tel Aviv, it's fucking garbage. Okay. It's just filth. So we go to this like strip club, and you just like wave her over, and she kind of does things to you there in front of everyone. There's no rooms. And I was like a germaphobe at the time. Like I had really bad like anxiety over like germs and shit. So I was like, I'm literally seeing these chicks like, you know, doing shit to these dudes, and I'm like, I'm not like I'm fine being there, but I don't want like that guy's fucking load on my pants.
The same as you.
So my uncle is like, all right, man, which one do you want? Like my treat, 20 shekels comes to like $7. He's like, I'm like, no, I'm good. Like I'm fine to be here, but I'm good. And I'm like, where's my cousin's 16 at the time? 15. 16, 15. No, he would have been 15, 14. Yeah, there's a big difference.
You're like, Daryl?
No. So I'm like, my cousin named Emil.
Got like 3 girls.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, where did Emil go? Like, where did my cousin go? And I can't find him. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I look over, and he's in the corner motorboating this fucking stripper, right? Like, just fucking getting in there. And I can hear, like, whispering in his ear. And I'm like, oh, damn, the motherfucker's falling in love. Like, what is she saying, you know?
They get married.
He comes over, he's got like slobber all over his mouth. I'm like, dude, wipe yourself clean, dude. And I'm like, what did she whisper to you? And he goes, oh yeah, she knew I was underage, so she made me pay a little more. Because she knew I was like 14. And I was like, you fucking piece of shit.
That's awesome.
Like, that's sick. And then my uncle's like, all right, guys, let's go. We're going to another place. So I'm like, where are we going? And he's like, we're going to a brothel. And I was like, no, I'm not having sex with a prostitute. I mean, now I think I would, but then I wouldn't, you know? I was like, bro, like, Uncle Moshe, you know, I love him. I was like, dude, like, no, I can't do it. Like, I don't want to fuck a prostitute, you know? No disrespect. Just at the time, I wasn't as outgoing as I am now. Yeah. And we get there, we park the car, we get out, and there's a woman shooting up heroin on the step to this brothel. Shooting up heroin. Great. And I'm like, dude, like, no fucking way. Like, there's no way I'm doing this.
Like,
Needles, yeah, that's my, like,
I'm like freaking out now.
That's
like
my
no
no-go zone. Yeah.
It's a hard no right now.
It's a hard no. You don't come back from that.
No.
So I'm like begging him. I'm like, please don't make me go in here. Like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to do this. He's like, nah, we'll just go see. We'll just go inside. This isn't it. Like, this isn't it. So we go in, and there's this Russian dominatrix, like fucking overweight, all her like body fat sticking in between the holes of the leather like suit, right? And before I can say fuck no, like before I can just like lose my mind, my uncle goes, damn man, this place really went downhill. It used to be much better when I came here as a kid. And he's like, yeah, you don't gotta fuck this girl. Like, let's go. Geez. He's like, let's go back. And I was like internally I'm about to like fucking lose it. But when he was like, yeah, no, man, this place isn't what it used to be. Let's go back inside of the car. So we get in, and he's like, you guys want some shawarma? I'm like, yeah. He's like, hey, don't tell your aunt about this. I was like, okay.
That's awesome.
And I look at my cousin, he's still got gloss on his fucking...
Still got lipstick, or like, that's awesome. I was
like, dude, go fucking wash that off, man. Yeah. Yeah, and then he took me
I love that he wanted you to get some action in the train station in a public place, and you're like, no, I'm good. Yeah. He's like, I'll take you to another place.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what? Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Because for them, it was like, man, he just went from being like an Orthodox Jew to like back to being normal again. And they're from like the Soviet Union. Like, there's nothing you can't buy. Everyone has a price. Everything is for sale.
I've seen videos of the Soviet Union. I feel like a lot of stuff goes on there.
Yeah,
people have seen
life
some
is very
stuff.
cheap over there.
Yeah, they've seen some stuff. They like to party.
Fuck yeah, yeah, yeah.
I saw a video of a guy riding a bear the other day, drinking vodka. That's just hanging out.
Did you ever see that video of like that? It's from the Ukraine, but it's like this 8-year-old kid partying at like the disco, and it's like I sent it to you, like it said, look at this Russian poster. He like climbs out of this window, and then it just like puts him into the discotheque, and he's like dancing with all these girls, and he's like he's like a little gypsy kid, and they're all like 20 years old, and he's just like
just
partying
with them. Yeah,
that hits me in a special way. I love it.
That's funny.
And then I just like I was out of like the country for so long, I would just copy what my cousin does, and we would be like crossing the street, and people like don't stop for you. It's the Middle East, and anytime they almost bump you, my cousin just fucking slaps the hood of the car, and he's like, "Hey!" Like in Hebrew, we'll like yell like, "I'm fucking walking here," but like
it's
in
like
Hebrew,
New York.
Right? Yeah. So I started doing it, and I'm like, "This is sick," you know? Like
yeah.
Guys won't stop for me. I'm just fucking punching the hood. I'm like, I'm fucking walking here. What the hell, man? You know? So I'm doing this shit. And then we went with my aunt, without my cousin one day to this like Arab town. And same dude, like, doesn't stop for me. I fucking slap his hood, and my aunt grabs my wrist, and she goes, "We're not in our hometown anymore. Like, this is a little different over here. You can't be doing that shit."
Oh, whoops, sorry.
And I was like, "Okay, go on."
Go ahead, bro. Like, you're good.
Please.
She told me. She told me we're good.
I'm not from here, man.
Well,
it's been a while.
That's funny. Smacking hoods.
Smacking hoods. Like, what the fuck, man? You know, you gotta stop. And he's just like, defending her honor real quick. I have a good story about A-bomb. My dad was like, he got super sick. And no, this is a sweet story. Like, Adam like knows this, but my dad got super sick, and he was supposed to come to Calgary because he was working overseas still, and he was supposed to connect in Vancouver from the Philippines to Calgary, and he like passed out on the way from the Philippines to Vancouver, and he couldn't make it to Calgary. So he was like in hospice in Vancouver, and they were like, "Hey, your dad like is here. You gotta come. He's gonna like pass away any moment." And my aunt came from Israel, and A-bomb gave me all your buddy passes, because it was like tough, like going back and forth, like money wise, everything. My aunt, like the thousands of dollars, and yeah, and you just gave me all of them, and it was super sweet. Like, it helped a lot. So
Hey man, least I could do.
that's
like
why
I
you
said,
always have a good part in my heart, man. You always help me.
Thanks,
out
homie.
because
Thanks,
it's
dude.
tough, you know. Like, it's one thing to you're losing like a family member, but like life doesn't stop, you know. Like bills, mortgage, work, like traveling there, and all that shit, and like that helped a lot. Yeah, that was very sweet of you.
I do. I really appreciate that. And I mean, I remember. I mean, I have never lost a parent, so I haven't been down that road. But one can only imagine how devastating it is. So, yeah, dude, it was like my pleasure to help you out, obviously,
man,
and you're a homie for life. So
yeah, that was very sweet.
Oh, it's all good, man.
And like
dude, you gave me a tattoo afterwards, and you also gave me like a piece of your flash, like a
like
original,
a bulldog one.
that you tattooed
cool.
on my. So I
Yeah.
have that, like, and that's amazing. I mean, I didn't do it for anything, but
No,
you
not at
were
all.
kind enough
Yeah.
to do that, and dude, like, that's the whole thing about this, is that like it's really like a celebration of friendship, you know, this
absolutely.
conversation and us hanging out. So yeah, man, it's definitely my pleasure.
Yeah,
So
thanks, man, for sure.
yeah. But I want to say thanks to Blackbird for having us. Thanks for Max.
Thank you for having me.
us, man.
Had a
I
blast.
really appreciate you taking this time to talk to us for our first episode, and it's been a hell of an episode.
been
So
awesome.
I really appreciate it,
Yeah.
man. Thank you
so much.
Yeah, no worries,
Thanks,
dude.
guys.
All right, guys. Thanks. Please like this video if you liked it, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, as we are constantly coming out with new stuff for you guys to watch us go through some pretty interesting things coming up. Don't forget that this will also be on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts, and you can get those from our link trees in our bios. All right, guys. Thanks. Peace.